Okay, so the first thing we're going to open today is we're going to open, it's in Schoology, and it should be the top one. And I think it says more unit circle practice. And when you open it, this is what it looks like. Someone tell me if that's that. I did? Okay. The unit circle practice. I did it? Look at me, look at me. Okay. So first of all, on the unit circle, yesterday we talked about this is the 0, right? And then what was all the way around? That's 2 pi. And halfway around was pi. And then half of pi was pi over 2, right? And then how many quadrants do I have, y'all? I have 1 quadrant here, 1 here, and 1 here. So that gives me 3 pi over 2s for here. Does that make sense? Okay. So the next thing I know then is I know if I start at 2 here, what are the denominators down the first quadrant? 2, 3, 4, and 6. And that's the same all the way around, right? I start at 2. This one goes to 3, 4, 6. This one's 2. So I'm going to count up. 3, 4, 6. 3, 4, 6. In the first quadrant, it's all 1 pi, right? Pi over 2, pi over 3, pi over 4, pi over 6. That's the first quadrant. The second quadrant, it was -1, +1, and 2 times the denominator -1, right? All the way around. So -1, this would be 2 pi over 3, 3 pi over 4, 5 pi over 6. Y'all keep going. Are you writing this down? I'm going to punch you. We are having fun, and do not rain on my parade. Yes. Where? This one? Twice the denominator -1. Okay. So what's the next, wait. Okay, so what's the next thing in your folder, like underneath this? No, go back to the, yeah. What's that one called? Unit circle practice. Everybody open that one. Unit circle practice. You're on it right now? Oh, okay. What is it? No. Yeah. Okay, the one that says first quadrant. That one. Sorry. Okay, so this is what it should look like when you open it. Does everybody see that? So I want you to, I think you're going to have to scroll to the bottom, and there's another unit circle, a full unit circle. I want everybody to fill in that full unit circle now on their own. What? Yeah, there's two of them. Just use either one of them. But I want you to try on your own. I get 0. This is pi. This is 2 pi. Half of pi is pi over 2. There's 3 quadrants to get here. This is 3 pi over 2. And then from there, 2, 3, 4, 6. Okay, so this is just pi. This one is 1 less. 1 more. Two times minus 1. Okay? All right. So now, here comes the part where you're having fun, Lance. Are you ready? Okay. You're going to love this, my friends. You're going to love it. If you want to get a hand up the front, you can get a hand. But you're not going to, I mean, you don't have to. But if you'd like to, yes, a hand. Okay. It might help you. But I'll wait for a minute if anybody wants one. Okay, so it's mine.
No, for real?
Okay, so this is where I said we're going to have some fun, right? You're going to have to use your imagination just a little bit, okay? So everybody use your imagination. I need everybody to look at this, though. Fernando, whatever you're looking at, stop and look at this. Okay, so look, the hand that you have, or your hand on your hand, either one, it looks like the first quadrant. It looks like the first quadrant. Okay? So this is 90 and this is 0. All right? So on my hand, here's my little handy. This is 0 and this is my pi over 2. I know. We're using our imaginations. So that means this is pi over 3, pi over 4, and pi over 6. So if you'd rather just use your hand, right, it works the same way. This is 90. This is pi over 2, 3, 4, 6, and 0. So if you're using your hand, it works the same, okay? Now, yesterday, when we found our values, we divided everything by 2. That's how we got the r back to 1. We divided by 2. And what we're going to have to do today for this little trick is we're going to put a square root on top. So to find the value, I'm going to take the square root over 2 every single time. Okay? Now, this is where it takes a little imagination, but you guys are super imaginative. So, I'm going to tell you, just write down, the cosine is going to be above and the sine is going to be down. Here. So the cosine is going to be above and the sine is going to be below. Mrs. Archer? Yes. I will. Bye-bye. Jaylene, it's for you. Just watch 1 second, and then you can go, because this is going to help you. Okay, so watch. Here's how this works. Mason, up here. If I want to know the cosine of pi over 3, this is pi over 3. How many fingers are above the pi over 3? Okay, what's the square root of 1? So it's 1 over 2 or 1/2. How many fingers are below? 3. The square root of 3 over 2 is the sine. Pi over 4. How many fingers up? So that's the cosine. The square root of 2 over 2. How many fingers below? Square root of 2 over 2. So pi over 6. How many fingers above? Square root of 3 over 2. How many fingers below? 1. It also works for the quadrantals. So for cosine, how many fingers are below 0? So the cosine of 0 is 0. How many fingers above? What's the square root of 4? 2 divided by 2 is? That's the sine. Okay? So you can, if you use this, then you can fill in the whole first quadrant. Okay. So this is how we're going to use that. Hope you feel better. So if you go back where you did by yourself, if you go back in there, there's the first quadrant here. So in the first quadrant, I want to fill in all my values. So we have to remember cosine is my x value and sine is my y value. I know this is pi over 2, pi over 3, pi over 4, pi over 6, and 0. So I'm going to start with pi over 3. This is my pi over 3. How many fingers above? 1. So my cosine is 1/2. How many fingers below? 3. So it's the square root of 3 over 2. Pi over 4. It's the middle finger. How many fingers up? 2. And then 2 below. So pi over 6, which is this one. How many fingers above? So I get the square root of 3 over 2. And how many below? And then the quadrantal. This point is on the x-axis, so I get 1 and 0. This point is on the y-axis, so I get 0, 1. Okay, y'all, there's one more first quadrant. You try. You try on the first quadrant. Okay, so given these right here, right? All right, so once you know the first quadrant, can you fill in the whole circle? Because all that changes is what? The signs, and we just have to match up our reference angles, right? So once you know the first quadrant, you can do the whole circle. That's number one. So the last thing I want to show you is I can also find the tangent, because the tangent is sine over cosine. So in this case, it's 1/2 divided by the square root of 3 over 2. So I have to take the reciprocal. The 2's cancel. And then I have to rationalize the denominator. Okay, so that's a lot of work, right? And we're all about finding shortcuts, patterns. I taught you the little trick here on your hand to get the first quadrant. There's also a trick to get the sine and to get the tangent, because the tangent's going to be the same also. All right? So if you guys go all the way to the bottom, there's this. You have to really use your imagination on this. You're going to have to use your imagination, but you're going to think it's funny. You ready? All right. U is going to stand for undefined. So at pi over 2, it's undefined. U, R. R says you have to have a radical, and we're going to put the 3 in there. U, R. 1. Really, that again is the radical. Overwhelming third wheel. So the tangent of pi over 2 is undefined. The tangent of pi over 3 is the square root of 3. The tangent of pi over 4 is 1. The tangent of pi over 6 is the square root of 3 over 3. And the tangent of 0 is 0. So you are one really overwhelming third wheel. You can remember that. Or, I always remember it starts with U, so I know it's a U at the top. So it's undefined at the top, and it's 0 at the bottom. And if you remember that, the 3 and the 3 match, and the 6, 3 plus 3 is 6. And tangent of pi over 4 is always 1. So you get 0, U, 1, and 0, and the pi over 3 and pi over 3 over 3. But these also don't change all the way around the circle, just the signs.